all the good stuff. Coming in live and direct. What's going on, everybody? What's going on? Troy Rawlings here, and to another exciting episode of Meet the. And today, I have a actually, it sounds redundant sometimes when I say this is a real friend. We've known each other for years. Because you look at it, nobody know how old she is. But we've known each other for at least a decade. And multifaceted entrepreneur, millionaire, business, money, and investment coach. One and only is TISHINA Anderson. What's going on, TISHINA? How are you?
I'm doing great. I can't complain. Just, staying sane in these Corona streets.
Right, yeah. All right. So we're going to jump right in. On Meet, I like to jump right in. And since you brought it up, I usually don't date it, but it's inevitable in 2020, everything that's going on. I've found that the consulting side of my business has jumped up. Marketing, promotion, online stuff that we've been doing for years has jumped up. I know you were always busy. Have you been busier with the consulting side and helping people with what to do with their money, how to organize their businesses since this has taken place? Have you been busier?
Well, I have multiple businesses. I will say my direct sales business has definitely picked up because people aren't able to work. So they're looking for additional ways of making money. And then my finance business is picked up because people are getting to a point where if they weren't before, they're definitely like, okay, I need to be more strategic with my money. And this has shown me that I haven't saved enough. This has shown me I don't really have a plan in place. And this has made me afraid of if I don't put some things in place and this happens again, I just don't want to be here anymore. So it definitely has picked up. And I would say that what I love most about it, not the fact that we're going through this, but the fact that it has made people more aware of things that they don't have and that they need.
Right. And I want to jump back. So some people may be like, oh, okay, great. But you, initially, your professional background, before you got into more of the marketing sales, you were a sales, you were like street and direct sales. Were you working with one of the big, I don't know if it was a pharmaceutical company, tobacco company, I don't know which company it was, but you were working sales with one of the big companies, but you were
Yeah.
like hitting the pavement heavy.
Yeah, so we originally know each other from high school,
Yeah.
right? And then I went to school at the University of Maryland, College Park. I graduated from there. I actually used to be a teacher for a few years. So I worked as a teacher in the Baltimore City school system. And I worked in some of the rough schools. And then after that, I worked in corporate America for a few years. So I worked as a territory sales manager for Philip Morris, which is a cigarette company. So I worked for them for a few years. I managed 140 of their accounts. And then I wanted to make more money, as always. And a neighbor of mine introduced me into direct sales. So that was about 14 and a half years ago. And that's when I started as an entrepreneur.
Exactly. What did you like most about starting your own business the way you did? Because you branched off into other businesses, but I remember you hearing it because you brought me on board with the direct sales business years ago. I remember you saying this, that at the time you want to make a certain amount of money, you have to take care of this, that, and other. But with everything going on, for the person who's thinking like, I don't know what to do after this, you said you didn't know what to do after this. You just saw how she was living. The person referred
Yeah.
you, was like, hold up, I think you were a single mom. You was running down a list of things, and he was like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
So what do you say to the person that is in a position right now where they've been working for I have friends that's been working with Fortune 500 companies for 20 some odd years, and now they're like scratching their head like, I don't know what's about to happen. What do you say to
Yeah.
those?
Well, when I decided to get involved in direct sales, it really was because I was just looking to make more money. So I think that, when you're working in corporate America, you can make six figures, and I was doing well for myself at the time. But when you see people, especially now with social media, people who are able to make millions, I was looking for something that gave me the option to be able to go that far if I chose to go that far. And what I liked at the time was that the company was providing a lot of things for me that I didn't have to figure out myself. So they were providing the product. They were taking all the risk with purchasing the product in bulk so that you can sell it at a price where you can profit. They were deciding to be the people who are going to take the risk to hire the employees to be able to distribute, mail things, answer questions from customers. So they were taking a lot of the work out of it for me, and also a lot of the upfront costs that usually come with starting a business. And that's what I liked about it originally, is I didn't have to worry about those things, and I didn't have to pay for all of those things to just get started in business. And that's what really attracted me to a company like this and what made me continue with it. The other thing I also liked about it was that everything wasn't relied on me. So if I have a bad month or a bad year or a bad day, whatever it is, my business is really dependent upon not just me, but the people that I've actually helped and worked with. And so all of our incomes are kind of tied in together.
Mm-hmm. So I'll get to that portion later. I want to talk a little bit about the how you got into the investment side of help coaching people in investment. I know you were looking to do investments, but how you got into coaching people in that area.
Yeah, I think that what I discovered, because when you get involved in direct sales, I think you discover so much about yourself. You discover whether, you really have the close friendships that you thought you had. You might not really have them. You discover a lot about who you are. You discover if you're organized, if I'm a salesperson, if I'm, a manager, am I a good communicator? Am I a good leader? You discover so many things about yourself. And we had a shift in our company back in 2015 with change in ownership. And when we had that change in ownership, it really scared me because I had worked for years with the company, and then all of a sudden things were changing. And it made me see that, okay, here I am, I've made millions of dollars, but and a lot of people are like this, whether you're making millions or you're working a job and you look up and you're like, well, where did all that money go? I've been making six figures or 50,000 a year, and I look up and I don't have anything saved. I don't have anything put away. And even though it wasn't that I didn't have anything saved, I didn't have the amount saved that I thought I should have saved after making all of that money. And right. I didn't feel secure at that time, because it's one thing to make money. It's another thing to feel financially secure. You can make $10 million a year. And if you spend 9.5 million, you don't feel financially secure. Or whether if your expenses are through the roof, then you don't feel financially secure. And I knew that at that time when changes were taking place, I didn't feel financially secure. So I went on a journey and I did what I do best, which is I look into things, I research things, I ask questions, I find people who make as much as me or more than me. And what do you do with your money? How do you invest? I started knocking on my neighbor's doors. I live in not predominantly, we are the only African Americans in our community. And most of the homes in our neighborhood cost more than ours. So I started knocking on my neighbors' doors. I would see them out walking. I would ask them questions. I had friends outside of my industry who were doing well for themselves. And I wanted to know what do they do with their money? How do they feel financially secure? And then I started interviewing financial advisors. I started interviewing people that help people with their money. And it was like a journey that I went on. I started reading books. I started taking classes. And, for me, I am the whole last few years of my life since I started as an entrepreneur has really been about finding freedom. How do I find my own sense of freedom? And at first I thought freedom was a lot of money. And then after everything happened and researching and looking, what I found was that freedom isn't about somebody who makes 12 million. You can make $50,000 a year and you can gain freedom. It really is just about what you do with the money that you make. And when I discover certain things that I believe are not taught in our community, they're only taught to certain communities and to certain people, and they're kept from us. I used to say, why don't they teach this in school when I learned about it? And then I realized, they don't teach it in school because they don't want us to know.
Right.
So then it was about, oh my gosh, I started feeling like I need to tell everybody, because this is how I am. When I found out about my business, it was like, it was really about, oh my gosh, I discovered something that if everybody else knew about it, it could be beneficial. Well, when I discovered what we should be doing, truly doing with our money, for me, I wanted to start telling my friends. I wanted to start telling my family members. And then I was like, I was spending so much time teaching people, and everyone would say, oh my gosh, like, I wish I would have known this sooner. And you're so good at this. Oh, you made it sound so simple. And I was like, maybe I can turn this into a business of just, this is what I do. You know, I've gone to different seminars, and I think we're all trying to discover our purpose on this planet and what are our God-given talents. And one of my God-given talents is teaching and taking something complicated and making it so someone can understand it. And so I wanted to turn that into a business that I felt like was giving back, but it was also giving value.
Right. And what's so crazy about it is you did that when you got with direct sales. When you were up there, one of the things I noticed, especially being a public speaker at the time and doing the stuff I was doing, I was like, she's really good at teaching. But I always see the person, not the product. I learned that years ago. It's the person that people are attracted to and drawn to. It's like, so you could be selling peanut butter. If you break it down, it's like, so show me how to spread that on the bread again. You know, time. So you had a knack for teaching, and people wanted to hear your story, wanted to hear what was what. And like you said, when you got information, you grabbed a hold of it and you wanted to pour it in. Now,
speaking and teaching is my gift.
Yeah. Without a doubt, that's evident. But you said something very key that I don't think people get. And then let me say this, because I know you and I watch, you know, and this was like post high school days, really getting to see her as a mom, as a woman. You work hard. My little one's in ears with, so I'm not going to say what I wanted to say, but you work hard. Yeah. So that's something that I think people need to know in any aspect of business. People may hear direct sales and the fact of how you're doing it and consulting and think that you don't work hard. No, you work hard. You get up before everybody. I remember being at your house for powwows. You got everybody around you in pajama pants and top, and you doing strategies and stuff. And it's like 11 to 12 at night. And I'm like, all right, I got to go. And y'all still going. I'm like, what? So you worked hard. Yeah. And I think that's the point where you said you had money coming in, but no freedom.
Yeah.
And then money starts going towards stress, towards excess bills because you're living, because you was on the road. People don't, I know road life from doing the comedy piece and stuff like that. And you were on the road
all the time.
The company, and they sending you places. They're like, we need TISHINA over there.
Yes.
So what was freedom for you?
Well, freedom back then in my mind was freedom from like how I grew up. So when you grow up a certain kind of way where you don't have what you need, meaning like I wasn't the kid that had all the great, clothes. I had a budget when school started. Like my mom's like, okay, this is how much money you got. You can get about 3 or 4 outfits and 1 pair of tennis shoes, and that's all you got for the year.
You better learn how to interchange.
Yes. That's all you got. And I would see my friends who parents had a little, maybe they were married and they had a little bit more that they could provide for them. And so for me in the beginning, my first few years of business, freedom was about having the option to choose, right? I want this car. I want this home. I want to live here. I want to travel here. I want to buy whatever watch I want. Like it was really just the freedom to buy. That was freedom to me in the beginning. And I knew if I worked hard enough, I could get the freedom to buy what I wanted. And that's exactly what I did. I bought my lifestyle. I have a Bentley. I have a Range Rover. I live in a $2 million house. I have my kids in the best school system. I bought the things that I felt like were of value to me, and that was freedom at one time. Nope. Today, freedom is a little different. So it's not the same as it was before, but you learn and you grow and you develop. And when you learn things and you grow and you learn that life is, that there's different things out there and available to you that I didn't know was available to me, then you change how you view things. So today freedom looks different. And today freedom looks being debt free. I have no debt. So the last 3.5 years, we spent paying off about $700,000 of debt. Now people think, oh, you make a lot of money. Well, yeah, you make a lot of money, but you make a lot of mistakes at the same rate that other people are making them, but you're doing it at 100 miles per hour.
Right.
So we went through a process of getting rid of all of our debt. That was the first part of buying our freedom back. The next part is paying our home off. So we're in a journey of paying our home off. I don't want to have any debt. So it's okay to, some people, oh, it's okay to have school loans, or it's okay to have house debt or car debt. No, I want no debt. We have no school loans. We have no credit cards. We have no debt outside of our home. And the next part is paying off our home. And then the next part of freedom for me and us is to secure financial freedom through investing for ourselves and our children. Mm-hmm. So to me, what that means is through the stock market and also through real estate.
Okay. So with that being said, let's do this. What's your demographic usually of the people you do your one-on-one coaching with? Do they have to be at a certain, are they a certain bracket? Have you worked with everybody from, like you say, the 50K people to the 9-figure people,
Yeah, definitely all different kinds of incomes. But I do find that most of the people are older in age. So I just had a
older
client
as in what? So what range? You mean
like my
what's
age or older? I'm 41. So right. I find people are usually like, today I booked 2 more coaching clients. They were like 42 and 48. So I find that people are typically my age and older. However, I just had somebody, I think he was 32, that I just interviewed on my Instagram just 2 days ago. So I do have people that are, but most people that are younger, you got to understand, because this is how I was. They're not in the mindset of getting ready for their older years. They're in the mindset of earning, which right. is probably the biggest mistake we can make, is never to be, you should be in both mindsets at all time. The minute you start earning, you should also be in the mindset of knowing what to do with your earnings. So it's just not the case though. Most people who are younger are just not there yet. And so usually my clients are people who are either in a place, it's not their income, because I can show anybody how to invest and to retire. Or I call it be financially independent. It really just is where they are mentally. So sometimes people just get to a point where they're like, I need help. I'm tired of saying I'm going to do it, not doing it, or I'm tired of trying to do it on my own, but I can't figure it out. I just need some extra help. And I just know that I'm not getting where I want. And then that's when they seek guidance.
Right. So you mentioned, and I'll jump back. You mentioned about real estate, and I'm going to take, if y'all really want the in-depth, you see I'm always writing if it's serious stuff here, but if y'all want the in-depth, you got to get her up on the website. Yeah. All the information is below in the video. But for you with real estate, have you, when you first got into doing anything with real estate, was it, okay, I want to get a rental properties, or was it, okay, I want to buy some land? Or what direction did you go initially, and what direction are you looking at now when it comes to real estate investing? Then we'll talk a little bit about your stock.
So initially, we looked at properties in the past where we bought some things, and we bought properties to make money, so for rental. Okay. And that's what we look for. So we don't do a lot of like fix and flip, or a lot of like people do wholesaling. I don't do any of that. It's just to purchase it, to hold on to it. So the goal is to have the renter to pay the mortgage. You get a small profit, and then is to pay off the mortgage with the rental income, and then get to a point where that rental income is basically free and clear because there's no mortgage on it. So now I use, I'll be using that income to pay for my expenses in my older years.
Right. Your older years. And what, when did you get, do you do a lot with the stock market now, or?
Yeah, I do most with the stock market, more with the stock market than real estate.
Okay. So when did you get, and really get, or let me say this, I won't get into that part. I'll say, is it ever too late for someone to get involved with stock market?
No, it's never too late because people every year you get profits on the stock market, as long as it's a profitable year. But
Right.
as long as it's a profitable year, then yeah, you get returns. And so there's never a time when it's too late. However, the way the stock market works, and one of the things that I wish this is why they need to teach it in high school, is because the earlier you start, the better. For instance, I
Right.
give people an example. I can give we have 4 kids, but I have a kid that's 20. I can give them $20,000 right now. And if they don't touch it and do nothing to it, when they turn 60, it'll turn into $1 million. Right? And that's just with it sitting and over time. And so the stock market works best the earlier you start. But even if I have people that start at 55, at 60, as long as you plan on living.
Right. Right. And what do you like? People may not know you're 41 now. I saw you saying you're jumping back on your fitness thing. I hear you huffing and puffing on videos, doing your workout. So a lot of people say health is wealth. What are the key things that you found now that are most important in the structuring of your day? Like, how does Tishina Anderson structure a day? Because that may help a lot of people get a sense of setting your priorities even before you get started with your work.
Absolutely. I think that the people who live the best lives have a balanced life. And
Right.
I didn't believe that at one time. I used to think you work like a dog and you get to where you want to go. But then what happens is things become imbalanced. And so for me, like I start off with reading my Bible and praying and then meditating. And then I work out. And then I go from working out to starting my day and working. And I make sure I have like a healthy balance of what I'm eating as well. And really learning what my body likes, because that's what I've been trying to do lately is not just like I try, you try different things, diets and stuff like that. But then I learned that, well, if I do keto and I'm eating cheese and all that, well, guess what? My body doesn't like cheese.
Right.
So
Right.
you can't do something just because it's a fad or a diet. I tried vegan and I did vegan, but I was doing vegan all wrong. I was eating like French fries and and, and
Pasta.
potatoes and
French fries and
pasta.
pasta. It's
I'm
not
like,
good.
okay, I did vegan, but then I started to gain weight. I was like, okay, this is not working for me. So now for me, it's really just about eating healthy and eating things that my body likes because I can lose weight. I know that I feel good. I don't feel bloated. I don't feel groggy when I wake up. I don't need a nap in the middle of the day because I just ate something that just weighed me down. And so I try to make sure that it's balanced with me praying, it's balanced with me reading, it's balanced with me eating healthy, drinking water, and then a balance of work and my children. In the beginning of my career, I spent so much time working that I took all the time away from my kids, and then I regretted it later. And I just learned to never do that again, that nothing that I work for is more important than the time that I spend with them. So I make sure that I'm very balanced now with working, but also if I feel like, for them, we take time out of our day to play games. We take time out of our day to go swimming with them, to teach them things. If I give everybody me and I don't give myself to them at all, then how do they know who to be if I'm not influencing that? So I don't want them to be influenced by the nanny or by television or by video games. I need to be inserted into their life so that they become a part of me. So those things for me are just as important as me making money. Or they're actually more important to me today than they were at one time. But I was young and, I was just trying to make a name for myself or to make money for myself. But I found that if you look at successful people today, sometimes you can see them making a lot of money, but if you go into their home, they don't have good relationships with their spouse. They don't have good relationships with their children. And that's just not the life that I want. I don't want money without a good home.
Right. And you find that it's funny you mentioned that, my thing is my main thing is to help men and women communicate better in love. So I always do the love and relationship stuff. But when I study some of the people that I like to hear from, Jeff Bezos, your different people, and you hear about the things that happen in billionaires' relationships. You hear it all the time. It was like when I first heard about Bob Johnson, his wife, I was like, wait, you just made $3 billion. You telling me you can't get 500 acres and she live on acre number,
Yeah.
but something shifts, something happens. I'm glad you're talking from this point, because a lot of people may hear millionaire and they're like, oh, I'm gonna get the money strategies. And it's like,
Yeah.
give you the balance strategies, because if you get to balance along with what to do with, because your life balance dictates what you do with your money.
Yeah.
And I've learned that over the years. If you scattered in life, your money's gonna be scattered. If you feel
Absolutely.
more balanced in life, you'll be able to put it into certain areas. So you've been doing when you do business coaching, let's talk about this a little bit, because we're in the dispensation of time we're in now. If you're talking to somebody and they have a business or they want to start a business, what things do you look for in their conversation, in their planning, to give them pointers on which direction to go in business? Or do you give people pointers on which direction you think they should go in business sometime? Or
So I used to do business coaching. That was like a service that I provided. Now I only do coaching within my company. So
Hmm,
I do business coaching within my company. So if someone comes on board, it really is about sitting down,
as it
figuring
says,
out their lifestyle and their goals. And now I just do that because I don't have, it's not enough hours in the day. So I just do that. And then I do the financial coaching because I'm really passionate about it. When I find something that I love and I really believe in, it's something that I want to focus and concentrate on. So even though I know that people want maybe more business advice from me, I want to give people what I believe that they really need, which is the financial
right.
part of it. So now I only do financial coaching and I only do business coaching within my company, and I stopped doing business coaching outside of my company.
So the one-on-one coaching you do, that's mainly with financial and investment.
Yep. So right now I have where when someone wants to learn about investing, so they basically sign up for about 4 to 5 sessions for to learn about investing. It takes about 2 weeks, and they do 1 hour each day, and it's 2 days a week. And then we go over everything from, I look over their current investments, if they have any 401ks, any IRAs. So we look at what they already have. Even if they have anything with an advisor, I've actually given people a lot of pointers and tips through what their advisors pick. And then we look at a strategy for
Right.
them. So I teach them, and then we pick strategies for them to make sure that they can be financially independent. So I make sure that they are with the right company, they have the right accounts, and they have the right investments. And then I also make sure that they know how to go in and pick investments themselves. So it's not me telling them what to do. It really is more about me educating them. And then I show them what I do, like the investments I have, how I did it, why I do it. And so it's really intense. And then they get to ask questions. So they get to ask questions and we kind of go at their pace. So that's the financial investment coaching that I currently have. And then next month, I'm starting monthly money coaching. So almost like if you would get a personal trainer, you would
Right.
be getting a money trainer. And you would meet with me once a month, and we're going to get everything together. We're going to make sure you have a will, life insurance, emergency fund, get your credit up, and make sure that you are investing a certain amount of money every single month. So that's a service that I'm actually starting next month.
So you refer people to the proper products, like you have different companies you suggest them to go to with insurance or wills and all that stuff.
Yep. I show you. So to make sure because I'm not licensed, I'm just
Hmm.
well educated.
Right.
I can't tell you what to do, but what I can do is give you several options and I can tell you how to pick one. So what I do is I show you how to go online, and if you're going to pick something for life insurance, I show you where to go to find how the companies are rated. I show you how to look at the top companies in the industry, what's the difference between one company and another company, what you should be looking for, how much you need, what are extra things you can put on with it, what to look out for when you call to get someone to give you a number. Um, So I kind of, I'm just teaching you and training you, and I'm not
No, it's
telling you
good. It's
what to do.
consulting. No,
Yeah,
that's good
I'm
because
consulting.
a lot of people you get with, and because they're attached to a certain company or they're
Yes,
attached to a certain product, they're always going to veer you towards the product, and that might not be the
exactly.
best thing for you.
Exactly. And because I don't work for any company, I don't do that. So I just tell you what to look out for. So what I know is how people try to trick you.
Mm,
And I've been tricked a time or two. So now I know how, how it works. And so I basically make sure I walk you through, don't do this. If they ask you this, this is what they're trying to do. This is what you should look out for. And this is what you need, right? So how many kids do you have? What do you want to leave behind? Let's look at life insurance is really just about a time frame. You don't have to get whole life. We just need a time frame between now and when you're going to build your own wealth. Because once you build your own wealth, you're going to pass that down. You don't need life insurance. So
that in and of itself is something that with a lot of insurance people you don't hear. Like, oh, you can take this, you gonna flip your life insurance. You can just pull this out your life. Pull this
yeah,
out my
and for me, this is why I created this, because that's how I felt with making money. People always coming at me, oh, you should get this, oh, you should get that, oh, like you need this. And I mean, even to this day, I've walked into a bank and they might see how much money I have in my account. And next thing you know, they're inviting somebody to come in to sell me something. And because I know my stuff, that you can't really trick me. And that's what I like about what I do is I train you not to be tricked. And I train you how to set your stuff up the right way so that you don't have to worry about overpaying in fees. You don't have to worry about someone selling you something that you don't need. And because whenever I go in and I coach people, what I find most of the time is either they have some things that they don't need or they have investments that are overcharging them. So I help you to save
Mm.
money and pick things that do not overcharge you, but you get the same kind of return on your money. And that's what I specialize in, is saving you money over, especially over a long period of time.
Mm. So, and I'll say this, and I'll because we could talk for a couple hours, and I'll start getting into my stuff. Like, I just don't understand. No. Um, so, what excites you right now in business? What excites you right now more than anything? Just business wise, not even talking about family or future. I'm talking about business wise. What excites you the most?
Yeah, I think what excites me most right now is that what I've learned is that nothing is ever secure. No business that you start, no company that you work with, no relationship or that you have in business, nothing is ever secure. So you have to create multiple streams of income. So I'm in the process of creating seven streams of income. And I'm excited about getting that journey. Well, I've already started the journey, but I'm excited about completing the journey. So
Right.
I'm excited about saying, oh, okay, this business brings me X amount of money a month. This brings me X amount. This brings me X amount. And more important than even just figuring out the journey and figuring out how do you do that and balance life and all of that, I'm excited about the passing this information on to my children so that when they get out of school, I can teach them how to take a talent you have. My one son loves to cook. He is like the chef of the house. He can cook better than me.
Oh
And he's
yeah.
not
So,
afraid to tell you, okay? So, but and he's getting ready to go to college, but he's in high school, and he's been cooking for like the last few years, right? That's a gift. Gifts are things that you do naturally, right? My daughter loves fashion way more than me. She's way more fashionable than I am. And she has her own right now. She makes t-shirts, college t-shirts, and she sells them online. So I'm excited about passing down to my children. How do you take your gifts? If you don't want to work for someone, if you don't want to work for another company, if you don't want to have a relationship with them, how do you take your gifts and how do you turn them into a business, a profitable business? But then how do you also then set yourself up to create multiple streams of businesses through one? So through one, then more than one gift. And so it's important for me that they have stocks and bonds, that they have an investment account, they have their own real estate, they have
right.
multiple businesses that they own that they can feel like, oh, well, if one business isn't doing good, okay, well, I have this other business as well that's also generating income, right?
Mm.
So for me, I have my direct sales business, and it's still on and pumping, pays the bills, does extremely well. But I also have coaching. I also have online classes that I have. I have an ebook that I'm coming out with. I have affiliate programs that I also make money through as well. I have my stocks and bonds, real estate. So I've created multiple streams of income for myself as well. And I want to teach them to do the exact same thing. And I do believe that for all of us, we have to all get to that place, because it doesn't matter. Even if I've seen people who started their own business and this stuff happened, the corona happened. Okay, you're a hairdresser, you don't work for anyone, you have your own business, but corona happens, and then what? You don't have an income, right? And you had your own business, you didn't work for anyone. Okay, so what could you have done to make some changes so that during a time like this, something else is also paying your bills? What are
Right.
the other things that you could have put into place, whether it be online, whether it be stocks and bonds, whether it be real estate? What are the other things that you set up? And I think that in this day and time, what we're seeing is that we better get really creative really fast, or we're
Right.
going to be left in the dark.
Right. Right. I got so much more. Okay. No, okay. Well, I'll do this. I'll say, tell me some of the successes, or one or two of the successes that you've seen come out of this quarantine time, this COVID time, either from yourself or somebody else, where you looked at it and like, man, that was a great move.
Well, I looked at it and said that was a great move. I've seen, well, are you talking about like people I know personally, or just what I'm seeing that's happening with
Yeah,
their
anybody,
content?
because I know you've a lot of people may not be able to ever touch or talk to Tony Robbins, but they can talk to you.
Right.
Some of the key lessons and key things, something that you've seen and you said, okay, that was impressive. That move they made was impressive. Something that may not require somebody to have $1 million, but this business idea was so. And for me, for example, I love the fact, I have most people don't know unless they really know me, like your son. I started cooking at a young age. Always loved cooking. And I started cooking in restaurants a lot about my age when I was 12. So I
Mhm.
was in the first pizza boles there ever was,
Yeah.
flipping pizzas. It wasn't even supposed to be there. But it turned into now me like consulting with people in the restaurant and hospitality industry. But me seeing what, I don't know, what state are you in now?
Virginia.
Okay, so down in Atlanta, there's a sister that has the Slutty Vegan.
Oh
Um,
yeah, from Baltimore.
yeah, is she from Baltimore?
Yeah, she is.
It makes sense. It makes sense.
Yeah.
But to crush the way she did, and to get on her, and a lot of people had the vegan spots that had the sandwiches and stuff. But
Yeah.
the way she marketed, the name, the hospitality, the things like that, and I've seen several carryouts and several businesses that transition and said we're going to do it this way, who've been crushing the whole time. So
Yeah.
that's impressive to me.
Yeah.
What impressive what have you seen business wise that someone's done that kind of.
Well, speaking of like cooking, there's a girl that I follow online. Her name is like, she's a young girl. It's like, her name's like Naja or something like that. But she created a channel called Cooking with Naja. Now she was like taking advantage of having a nice physique, and she was doing the whole like online boutique and making millions of dollars, right?
Oh,
Okay, great, right? You look great, and then you you're selling clothes and she's making money with
right,
it,
right.
right? Okay, great. But then I saw her one day put out something and said, what do you want next? Do you want my cooking line, or and this was during quarantine. Do you want my cooking line, or do you want my workout line next? And because she has this huge following on social media, everyone responds different. And I see her say, okay, I'm going to start a cooking line, keeping with the conversation of cooking. So
Yeah.
she starts another Instagram page, and all she does is give out free content, free recipes, showing like what she's cooking, showing what she's putting in it. And I was like, when is she gonna sell you something? She just kept putting out free stuff, like for like at least 2 months. Free this. Y'all ready for the cookbook? You ready for the cookbook? Okay, what do I put in this? What do I put in that? And you get people engaging. And what I think is most impressive and what I think that is a lot harder for maybe someone my age or older is to learn how to utilize social media.
Mm.
So she gives out the free information, gives out the free content, and then now what did she hit you with just the other day? She hit you with her cookbook and she hit you with her whole like pots and pans and all of that line. But it wasn't just hitting you with it. It was the creativity that went behind it. It was the videos of leading up to it that she had recorded the whole time, showing her behind the scene that she never showed you for like 2 months straight. So for me, I made millions of dollars, but I did not make it on social media. I made it through communication. I made it through calling people. I made it through in person. I made it with I learned my personality. I learned how to learn people. That's how I made my money. I used social media and I just got it because everybody else was getting it, but I didn't know how to utilize it.
Right, right.
And what I'm seeing now with the younger generation, which is very impressive, is how people can figure out how to utilize social media by giving away things, getting people hooked in, and then you charge
Monetize.
them for whatever it is that you're selling, and then people buy. And they're making millions of dollars. They're becoming millionaires, but they're learning how to do it through social media. So I think that since this quarantine, I've taken several courses to get my social media game up. Because when I don't know something and I see that this is the way we're going, I'm going to learn it. And
Right, right.
I will pay for somebody to teach me what I do not know. So I've taken several courses to learn how to get better at social media so that you can utilize it. Because for me, social media is just about posting when I have a good picture. Something comes up, I would just post it, right? That was my way of, using social media. And I would get business from social media, but I never was really into like growing my following. How do you grow a following? How do you do it? Until recently, and over these last few months, I was like, okay, I'm gonna get my social media game up. So then I started learning about, oh, it's about the time of day that you post. Oh, I didn't know my followers was online a certain time of day. Okay, so where do I find that at? Then they teach you, it's about preparing your social media in advance. I'm like, well, wait a minute, this is a job. This is a real job, but learning that, it really is about having a strategy and preparing in advance. So now I have social media content for the next 2 weeks. It's already uploaded on my phone, ready to go. And what you see when I post is not sporadic. It's something that I took 2 weeks ago.
Right, right.
So I've learned how to go on and lighten my pictures up, create the right caption, create interaction, learn how to use strategies to go to get more followers. And so I think for me, whenever you're in business, things are always changing and you have to learn to adapt and see how things are changing and evolve with the times. And that's what I'm liking right now is seeing how social media is evolving and really learning it myself and getting better at it.
And the great thing about it is that's a whole new clientele for your base because just because these young people, we're seeing a lot of it. And I was listening to like love them or hate them sometimes with Floyd Mayweather, but a very young, intelligent person of how to do. Most people don't realize with Floyd, now that he's not just a boxer, he decided early when he was a young guy to buy himself out of a contract for say pretty much bought his financial freedom out of a contract for $700,000, and immediately his next fight made him millions, and that was when he was young. And then he never stopped. And he was talking to Fat Joe on his on his show the other day, and he mentioned for the young artists that are making these millions, he said you go into a shop and you got a hit and you made some money, but then you go and get a chain for 100,000. He said then you go back to sell it and they give you 60. He
Yeah.
said if you had took that 60, and boy, he said everyone on this planet should own a piece of the earth. He
Yeah.
said, and he just started talking about stuff like that when he was talking to Joe. But I think the golden thing with you is, like you said, you're very grassroots and you know what to do with the money. So the young people really need you because they'll get it. They'll get the million. And you're like, what happened to their money? Oh, they went out and bought a house for $700,000 cash. And then
Yeah.
they bought a Mercedes and they
Yeah.
forgot about taxes. It's like,
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, they need you. Each generation needs what you have.
We
And
were just talking about him last night, my husband and I. It was funny that you just brought him up because he was saying how a lot of people make fun of him. And he mentioned in an interview, he was like, I've made millions of dollars outside of boxing and I have a whole bunch of businesses that I've invested in, but I'm not telling y'all because y'all keep making fun of me.
because they keep dogging.
Yeah.
Well, he's from that. He's kind of bratty in that way, but he made a good point because he did drop some jewels. But this is one of the things he said, and it was very impressive because he was talking to Fat Joe, a rapper and business owner in New York who's had a lot of hits, made millions. He said, Joe, I could sit home and I'll get money every week for the rest of my life, for the rest of my kids' life. I don't have to do another thing. And he said, Fat Joe was like, Champ, I'm telling you, Champ, I ain't too proud, man. I can't do that.
Yeah.
And mind you, Floyd's younger than Fat Joe
Yeah.
and had did different things, but he talked about, he has skyscrapers in Dubai. I knew he was in a whole nother. Anytime you're sitting with Warren Buffett and Warren Buffett puts your hat on, that means Warren Buffett done invested in you. Because Warren Buffett he doesn't wear or eat anything that he's not. If you see him drinking some Coca-Cola and eating ice cream,
Right.
so
Right.
so I appreciate you taking time out with me. I know you're busy. I know you got to rock and roll, but what's one last thing you want to say before you give people information on how to get in touch with you? What's one last thing you want to say to everybody?
Well, one other thing I think is important because I'm really focused in on just people improving as a whole is that what I had to do a few years ago is I had to sit down, and I do this every so often, but I had to sit down and see, what am I missing? There's things in life that we know we're avoiding. It's making us uncomfortable, whether it's our health, whether it's our organization, whether it's our spiritual life, whether it's our relationships, whether it's our money. There's things that we're avoiding because we're working hard or we're focused on something else, but these things are slowly eating away at us.
Right.
And so I would just really encourage any and everyone to kind of like sit down and take a full evaluation of where you are and what's going to help you to sleep good at night, what's going to help you to progress in life, and say, you know what, if I woke up next year this time and I had lost 20 pounds, I would feel so much better about myself. Or if I woke up this time next year and I was completely out of debt, I would feel so much better. I can sleep better at night. Whatever it is, I say write those things down and then start working towards them. And that means reading a book. That means, asking people, what do they do? How do they get better? That means finding a coach in that area. It really does mean investing back into you to make sure that you complete that goal. Write it down, type it up, put it all around where you can see it. My goals are all over the place. I am such a goal-oriented person. I put them everywhere. And then I want to keep track of them. Every few months, I check and say, am I getting better? Am I almost at the goal? And to me, that's how you get better in life. I got to this point, not because I just wished and hoped, but I really set plans in place to make sure that, you know what, I make more money. I have more businesses. I have more investments. I get rid of my debt, but it was a plan. It took 3.5 years to get rid of my debt. It wasn't something I just wished for or just asked for. And then in 60 days later, it was done. It took time. So I really say that, if you want life to get better for you, you really have to plan for it to get better and don't expect it to get better overnight. It takes time to reverse anything that you have really, maybe done bad in that area with.
Excellent. TISHINA Anderson, let people know how to get in touch with you, even though the information will be below, but let them know how to get in touch with you, how to reach out to you if they want to talk to you.
So my Instagram and Facebook is my name, TISHINA Anderson, TISHINA ANDERSON. And my website is www.tishinaanderson.com. Really simple. Everything is TISHINA Anderson. And my YouTube is TISHINA Anderson.
Well, I love it. Thanks for taking time out. I appreciate you, sis.
Thank you. Thank you for creating the platform. I'm going to start a podcast one day. I'm going to have you on my podcast.
Hey, if you need help, let me know. That's one of my specialties.
Okay, cool. Love it. Love it. Love it.
You definitely need a podcast because you know some folks And that's another, like you said earlier, you mentioned something earlier, and I'll hit on that. You said knowing who your friends are in this journey, the people that you've met, who you look up towards, saying something as simple as you talking to people in your neighborhood that you seem, you know what, they have a bigger house than ours, and they seem a bit established and a bit older. What are you doing? And so you've made some friends that have some information that if they don't give it out, they're gonna die with it.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So that's how I look at this, giving people roses while they're alive. And I appreciate you. I appreciate you also because you saw something in me when I was doing entertainment and doing barbering and doing all this stuff. You're like, Troy, you know a lot of people. Why don't you
Yeah.
do this? Why don't you do that? I was like, yeah. But would help me with that is I made myself the product.
Yeah.
And that helped
Yeah.
me launch the next level. But now it's like, okay, now I need some other products that don't have to hit the road.
Yeah.
So yeah, I appreciate you.
Absolutely. Appreciate you as well. Thanks for having me.
All right, talk to you soon.
All right. Bye-bye.